Hi, I'm Lindsay. I am a PR consultant from Scotland. I help my clients get featured in the media, get interviewed on podcasts, and secure speaking opportunities. And in this video, I am going to share with you how to get PR ready. Oh, wow. I am just out for a quick after work walk. Well, not quite after work, but a little break, let's put it that way. And I did not even realise how stormy it was. It's absolutely wild out here. Anyway, it's about 5:30, 5:45 in the evening. Just finished getting through my main list of stuff today. Been a really busy day. I've had a couple of calls, new clients starting, a charity that I worked with in the past that are back because they've got a whole schedule of events that they want to promote. I have been writing a proposal. I've been writing up a PR plan. I've been doing loads of admin. It's just been a really busy day, chatting to clients on the phone, messaging backwards and forwards about various things. I got a client accepted to speak at Carfest, which is incredible, such a huge festival in the summer, so I'm really pleased about that. And so I just needed to come out, get some fresh air, and then I'm going to have some food when I get back in and finish with some social stuff tonight as well that I need to just get done. So good start to the week. Had a great weekend, went to my old high school for a bit of a reunion, met up with some old friends because it's going to be knocked down and a whole new school has been built. So that was actually really, really fun to do that, and it was just a nice way to spend the weekend. And kind of realise how far you've come, from your school days. But actually created a whole life for ourselves since those days and been through all the ups and downs that brought with it. But as I said, I am going to share how you can get PR ready. So stay tuned for that. And I'll just bring you along as much as I can this week, behind the scenes as always. Right, let's talk about how to get PR ready, because if you are someone who wants to grow your profile, or maybe you run a business and you want to just grow the profile, the credibility, the reputation of your business, then PR can really, really help that. And I've discussed that in previous videos, and I will share a little thumbnail here for the video to go to find out what actually PR is. But in order to get the most out of your PR activities, whether that's reaching out to the media, whether that's pitching yourself as a podcast guest or pitching yourself as a speaker to events, you need to have certain things in place to get the best chance of getting a result, and also, if you get the result, to really make the most of that opportunity. So I'm going to just talk through 3 main things that you need to get in place and just run with it. So the first one is getting clear on what it is you want to say. Like, what is your main message going to be? All the best people who have the most PR success are so clear on what they want to say, and they stick to it and they keep going on about it, and that's why they become known for talking about that thing. And that's what you want. What do you want to be known for talking about? What is it that you want to say that's either not already been said, or maybe it is already been said, but you want to say it in your own way and you want to own that space? So get really clear on what your key messages are, but what your core message is at the very heart of everything. Really think about that, because it's really important. Because if you're going to go out there and you're going to speak on podcasts and you're going to share your story in the media, etc., you need to know what it's all for. You need to know what you want people to take away from that. Otherwise, you're just sort of blindly going into it. Set yourself the goals, set yourself the objectives of what you want to be known for, and then really have that as like your North Star. The second thing is, to get PR ready, you need to have your social media channels up and running and populated. Because if you're pitching out to people to be on their podcast, to speak at their events, the first thing they're going to do is go and look at your social media. And if it's not populated, if it's out of date, if it doesn't actually represent all the things that you've just told them in that pitch, then you're going to reduce your chances of getting a yes. So it's really important that your social media content is sort of busy. I'm not saying like you're doing stuff 10 times a day, but just up to date. So if someone looks at it, they're going to see that you've posted in the last week or so maybe, and that the content that they're seeing and the messaging that they're seeing is fully aligned with what you've said to them that you will talk about. So that's really, really important. And again, like social followers, it helps if you've got, a good social media following, but the main thing is that your socials look how you have presented yourself in your pitch. And, if you've got good engagement, if you've got good follower numbers, even better. And I guess the third thing is just really like opening your mind to talking about yourself more. Like, especially, depends where you're watching from, but I know definitely in the UK, certainly in Scotland, we're not that good at talking about ourselves. But it really does help your PR if you talk about yourself, because it helps people get to know things about you that might be of interest to them. It helps them get a feel for the type of person you are, a bit about, your personality, your values, etc. And these things all matter when someone's deciding whether you're credible, whether you're trustworthy, etc. So, if you're appearing on a podcast, make sure that you've got stories to tell to back up some of the knowledge that you're going to share. Get used to telling people about your achievements, about your disasters, all of it. Like, just get used to showing up as you and just saying, this is how this was, this is how I felt about it. Practice tapping into how you felt at certain times when you're talking about things on podcasts or on stage, because it's the feelings that we had in that moment when it all collapsed or we had that huge result that we've been waiting for years. It's those feelings that people will relate to. So don't just say what happened, tell people how you felt in that moment, and that's where the connection comes. So really, it's about getting comfortable doing that, whether you have to do lives on socials, whether you have to do different types of videos, to actually practice telling these stories and sharing your knowledge in a way that's clear, simple, helpful, practical, and backed up with that real life experience and those real life stories, whether that's your stories or whether that's someone that you knew, whether that's a client that you worked with, whether that's, someone that worked for or with you. Use all of the stories and the examples at your disposal, because it really, really helps to build that trust. And that's what it's all about in PR, building trust, building credibility. So I hope that helps. And once you've got those things in place, you're super PR ready. You can get out there and you can pitch. So sometimes in business, you've got to make difficult decisions. And that's been the case for me this week. And I feel like I've done a good job with it. I'm at peace with the choices that I've made, but I have had to make a couple of difficult decisions this week because things were kind of getting on top of me a little bit. I felt I'd placed a lot of pressure on myself with the clients that I'd taken on and with the things that were potentially coming down the line. So I had to have a bit of a think really over the weekend, talk to a couple of people, and I decided just to make a couple of changes this week. And I'm not saying it's going to make me any less busy, but what I am saying is I feel more comfortable with the mix of stuff that I've got going on because of it. So it did involve kind of not letting people down, but just being really upfront with people about things. And one client I have let go, paused, just because I felt like I'd taken them as far as I could. They're great. They're a great client. They're very local. Their business is very local. And we've had some great coverage for them in the local area, even nationally. They've been on some good podcasts that relate to their niche. And because they're so local, I feel like we've kind of taken it as far as we can go right now. It's not to say we couldn't pick it up again in the future if they had new developments, a new milestone, more news, etc. about the business. But for now, I just felt that it was just best to pause it. So I am very, like, it's very important to me that I do things like ethically as well, in terms of I don't want to take someone's money if I don't think I can get them coverage, or if I don't think I can keep getting them coverage. So I would never say yes to a potential client if I just thought there was not anything in it, and that they needed to go away and just find some stronger, like, angles, or it's more about just gather some more evidence and experience until they're able to talk about it, sort of thing, or have someone keep paying me when I feel like we're coming to the end of the road. So yeah, I paused with them. They were absolutely fine about it, and in fact, they've offered me a bit of a partnership project on a podcast, which I'm quite looking forward to doing with them as well. So that would be good. And then the second decision that I had to make was there was potential work which looked like it was going to go ahead, but just we didn't know exactly when, but it was most likely going to be like April, May, June. And I just had to say to them, look, I think you need to speak to somebody else about doing that PR work for you, because it was going to involve quite a lot of time. It's quite a big project. It would have been a really good one to do, and I've worked with the guy before, and I think it's going to go big. I think it's going to be a really big deal when it launches, but I just don't have the time, honestly, and I probably just don't have the energy right now as well, because of all the other things that I've got going on. And when you're working with a startup like that, like, it's all about energy. It's about full on just being there, like being on all the time. And I'm probably just not in that place right now. And I think they probably just need to find somebody who is. It's also heavily London based, so it's probably better for them to work with somebody down there on this particular project. So I had to make that decision as well. And both of those have involved turning down money. So, I'm going to be quite a bit less in my monthly income because I won't be doing either of those things going forward. However, it's worth it, because I also feel like you've got to create capacity in your own sort of business sometimes. You've got to create space to do the things that you want to do. And we've got StormSafe Crisis Communications. We're trying to get that off the ground. I am at the moment like shoehorning it in to spare time that I've got, which isn't much, and that's not really how I want to be doing it. So I guess part of the reason I've made these decisions is so that I've actually got some extra time that I can sort of set aside to really work on StormSafe, and I have been doing a little bit of that today. So I feel good. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I did have a bit of the doom feeling of, what if I've made these decisions and it turns out to be really a bad idea, or, other clients will pause and cancel, which they will at some point. It could happen today, it could happen next week, who knows, but I kind of you just have to be at peace with that, and it's okay. It's okay if that happens. So yeah, that's where I'm up to. But there are difficult decisions, and I think it's fortunate. Like, I'm very fortunate to be in that position where I've got work just now, touch wood, and people who want to speak to me about work. But I think sometimes you just have to realise you cannot do it all. Like, and it's so important to me that I do a good job for my clients, that in order to do that, I just have to make good decisions and good choices about who I'm working with, what I'm spending my time on. So that's where we're up to. You never know if it's the right decision, but you just have to go with what you think is right in the moment, and whatever happens will happen. So it's Friday afternoon, and as you can see, it is a lovely bright afternoon. Still cold, but it's beautiful and sunny. Not that I've been out that much. I did take myself out for a little brunch date, a solo brunch date earlier, which was nice. I enjoyed what I had, and it was just nice to just have some thinking time, because I have been going at such a fast pace this week. with everything that's been going on work-wise. I feel like I've had a bit of a mental load with some of the decisions that I've had to make, but I'm feeling like I'm coming through the other side of it now. Like I said before, I have made a few decisions and I feel so good for having made them. I have done a lot of work this morning, actually. I mean, it's kind of mid-afternoon now, so I've done quite a few hours work. I have got through my list, and the reason I kind of wanted to get that done is because I got a new computer last night. Not sure if you can see that there. Got another Mac, a MacBook Air this time, and yeah, I need to do the whole transfer over. So I wanted to get all my work done and then basically spend whatever's left of the afternoon and the evening, hopefully transferring everything from the old computer, which is pretty old now, to be honest, probably 9 or 10 years old, onto this one. So I'm kind of dreading it. I'm really looking forward to using the new one, but I'm kind of dreading this whole process. So I will let you know if it goes smoothly or if there's a drama. It's been a good week PR wise. I have had some nice wins through for clients getting booked onto things. I have had clients who appeared on the local television news here just last night. I've had a former client actually who was on a podcast this week. It was filmed a while back when I was working with her, but it's still a really nice result, and one that I will share because it all happened through me, if you know what I mean. So if I work with a client and then we pause for whatever reason and there's still some, wins that come through and results that come through, then yeah, definitely always like to share those. What else? I've had some nice media coverage for a couple of different clients. One for a client who's running an event in Glasgow next week, and one for a client who is running a podcasting training course for footballers who are coming to the end of their career and might want to do something different. So nice topics and nice results. So yeah, it's been another really fast week. I keep saying it, but it's just because it's true. But I'm loving the lighter mornings. I'm loving the, I'm loving just where I'm headed. I feel like even though some of my decisions could be seen as sort of taking a step back in a way with some of the things that I've turned down, I truly feel like they're taking a step forward. I'm going to chat to someone next week about getting some support in terms of like VA support, because I feel like a lot of my time is taken up with things that I could probably get help with, but I am a bit of a control freak, and when you're busy it just feels easier sometimes to just do it yourself, but you kind of have to go through the pain of getting it all set up for you to then reap the benefits of having help, I think. So going to look at that next week. And yeah, in the meantime, just looking forward to hopefully a sunny weekend. And I hope that if you're watching this, you've had a good week. I hope if you've got any tough decisions to make that you're figuring them out. I always like to think, is this going to lead me closer to my goals or further away? And just try and make the decisions that, one way or another will lead you that little bit closer to the outcomes that you want. So that's really the best advice that I can give, and that's what I try and do as well. So thank you for coming along on the journey with me, and I shall be back very soon, as always.